the NLDS series. Phillies, Braves. Philly, it's still plus 1,000 to win the World Series. Atlanta plus 500. So, as you would imagine, Braves are favored in the series at minus 200. Phillies at plus 165. Anthony DeBundo, we will turn to you first, as we did for last week's episode, to break down the Phils. How do you like your team's chances here, and what do you like in game one?
So I'm taking the Phillies in the first 5 innings plus a half at even money. And I know going against Max Fried, who's been an excellent left-hander, is a dangerous situation. But the Phillies do project better against left-handed pitching than they do against righties. They were a top 3 offense in baseball after the trade deadline against left-handed pitching. They have both teams have seen the other pitcher plenty this year. Ranger Suarez made 5 starts against Atlanta. His last 2, he allowed 1 earned run in over 12 innings pitched. Max Fried was also excellent in those starts, got outdueled a little bit. He's seen the Phillies 4 times to a 3.13 ERA. Suarez a little bit worse, but again, I'm not sure that the difference between these two pitchers is enough to get me to the half a run in the first 5. Where I am concerned about the Phillies in the later innings, Atlanta has much more command in its bullpen. I'm worried about the Phillies' walk problems. And I know it's a great story that Zach Eflin is closing for the Phillies, but for me, he's too much of a contact guy in a 9th inning in a role he's not that comfortable in. So I have major question marks about the Phillies in the series after the 6th inning of every game. I think that's where the Atlanta edge gets pretty significant. And we even saw that when these two teams played in Atlanta it was a Friday night in September. Ranger gave up 1 run in 6, 8th inning blow up. Phillies lost 7-2 after taking a 2-1 lead into the 8th. So I think there are major red flags with the Phillies in the late innings here, but I do think this will be a very competitive series. I think it's the most likely upset of the 4 if you're looking for underdogs. But at least in game 1, I'm taking Suarez in his playoff debut. He had an excellent second half of the season, lowered his ERA by a full run, had struggles with command early in the year, really improved second half. I think Ranger is dangerous in this matchup and underrated a little bit. People are giving all the credit to Wheeler and Nola. Suarez was almost as good as Nola in the second half of the season.
Odds reflect that based on the number. Plus 165 is your shortest number of all the dogs for the series prices in this MLB postseason as we get to the NLDS round. Colin, for game 1, Phillies Braves, what's your play?
Yeah, I'm staying away from a side here. You guys touched on it a little bit, but one of the toughest things about these game 1s is that every favorite is a significant favorite. Minus right. 200, minus 225, minus 225, minus 200. All these favorites on the full game money line. A little bit of a counterpoint to some of the stuff Anthony mentioned about Ranger Suarez. He has been improved quite a bit in the second half. Mentioned those 2 starts against Atlanta down the stretch. I do think he ran into a little bit of good luck in those starts. He walked 5 and 12 innings combined in those 2 starts. So the command issues against a patient Braves offense could come back to bite him in a much bigger situation. You mentioned 5 starts against him. He had 12 walks total in those 5 starts in just 28 innings with 23 strikeouts. So he still doesn't miss a lot of bats against a contact-oriented team. Fried in his 4 starts against Philly, 6 walks against 25 strikeouts in 23 innings. So these are 2 lefties who have seen the other team quite a bit. And that's another interesting thing about this LDS as a whole. 3 of the 4 matchups are divisional matchups. So a lot of these pitchers have seen these hitters quite a bit. Still, I don't necessarily hate Anthony's bet. I'm just staying away from a side on this one, and I'm aiming at the total. Mentioned Suarez and Fried found quite a bit of success against the other teams. It's kind of a mixed bag from both guys throughout the season. So I'm just going to look at the raw full season data here. Both offenses are in their better split against left-handed pitching. Anthony mentioned the Phillies better against lefties. They're 6th in weighted runs created plus at 115 compared to 102 against righties. The Braves are actually a little bit better against lefties. They're 5th in weighted runs created plus at 118 compared to 108 against right-handed pitching. So I'm on the full game total here. Anthony mentioned bullpen questions in Philly. We've got 2 offenses, 2 really good offenses in their better split. So over 7 minus 115. That's what I like here.
Okay, yeah, slight juice on the over. You can get plus money at the under for game 1.